Hello everyone, now there's some buzzwords that are coming up. So on this channel, if you're new, we cover cryptocurrencies, but we also cover how they relate to AI, machine learning, because we want to look at those real world use cases of cryptocurrencies in this world. Some of the newest technologies they have to implement, like social media, has to implement some sort of machine learning algorithms to tell or to know how their customers interact with them. So similarly, we're seeing mainstream applications and we're going to see how this ties into the value proposition in the cryptocurrency space. Now, for instance, you've come across or you've heard of ChatGPT. I've talked about this company. It's OpenAI. It's a product from OpenAI, which had earlier developed a product called DALL-E. Essentially, you type in anything and it creates, it puts back, well, rather gives you an artistic impression of what you've just typed. So we're seeing some major breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and machine learning and how it interprets our own understanding of the environment around us. Now, check this out. When you look at the OpenAI website, under the ChatGPT, there's some lingo they're using, which is this amazing tool that you can chat with, you can have a conversation with machines, that enables you to have a conversation with machines. It taps into the vast knowledge of the internet to give you an answer to almost any question you have with a 90% accuracy. So you could have like a 20% margin of error, 10% margin of error, but you will definitely learn from this conversation you're having with it, and it keeps improving with time. Now, if you note, I covered this in a video I did about 2 days ago. If you note here, they say ChatGPT optimizing language models for a dialogue. So it's optimizing these language models. Now there's this thing called LLM, which is large language models. And this is what they're using to train these algorithms to output the output, to have an output, a desired output per particular input. So it's pretty amazing, because when you expand this into mainstream companies, now I'm going to show you how this is tying into some of the stuff that I'm interested in. If you look at the mainstream companies like Nvidia, for instance, there's this article they pushed out there, which was basically November 3rd, 2022, so very recent, new on NGC, the software development kits for large language models. So you can see that similarity. Digital twins, which I talk about a lot, there's some companies that are developing, that are creating this environment, these frameworks that are supposed to enable people to use open source software while maintaining self-sovereign identity. So you maintain the user's privacy to allow the creation of these digital twins that can negotiate and communicate with one another, to really push us into this digital age, the industrial 4.0, so something like that. So a proper way of optimizing, of utilizing your data and the internet as we know it. So you can see digital biology and more. So NVIDIA, let me just give you some snippets from this. They're talking about digital twins, utilizing large language models, and they have this platform called NVIDIA NeMo Megatron that's utilizing these kinds of algorithms to create some amazing stuff, while also utilizing stuff like chat like GPT-3 to scale, which is a similar technology in this chat that we've seen here. So what's interesting, you can obviously, I'm going to link these articles in here, you can read them a little bit more. This is machine learning and some of the stuff that they're using. You can actually experiment with it. They've created a public version of this that you can actually use and experiment with it. So the AI frameworks for 3D and digital twins workflows. Guys, from my background, I've used some of the designing software like PTC, Crytpo. You design engineering machines, and then you also analyze the workflow of these things, how the fluid is going to flow, or you can design prototypes and then you optimize them before actually manufacturing them, and it saves a lot of time, effort, money for companies. So we're looking into AI infiltrating with some of these tools. So AI frameworks for 3D and digital twin workflows. A digital twin is a virtual representation. So here they're trying to get you as a reader to understand what this new breakthrough is, and this is their definition. But obviously I've covered these things quite many times. A digital twin is a virtual representation, a true to reality simulation of physics and materials of a real world physical asset or system, which is continuously updated. Digital twins aren't just for inanimate objects and people. They can replicate a fulfillment center process to test out human robot interactions before activating certain robot functions in live environments, and the applications are as wide as the imagination. We're going to talk about a little bit of some of these things and their practicality, and some of the things that I've covered in the past to shed more light on what is going on. So you're seeing companies that have some of the most advanced, computing devices implementing machine learning in this kind of way, which shows you that the world needs that level of automation if we're going to truly understand how to leverage our data, and if we're going to scale companies that need to use machine learning algorithms without necessarily having to hire a specialist expensive team to do that for you. So we need frameworks that can put us all at a level playing field in the field of leveraging machine learning techniques. So obviously, if you've looked at machine learning, the things that you need to know, some basics like how to use PyTorch and how to use TensorFlow. But of course, NVIDIA has its own NVIDIA Triton interface server and TensorRT. But otherwise, PyTorch and TensorFlow is a very, very good way to try out some of these algorithms like reinforcement learning, convoluted neural networks, generative adversarial networks. These are different algorithms that you can use depending on what you want to do, because the machine learning space is quite wide. So guys, this video is important because there's value proposition with this. There's actually an investment proposition. If you know what you're doing with machine learning, you can help companies, you can build your own products, just like you see some of these companies have done this. By showcasing this, it has opened the floodgates to competition and a lot of other companies. I want to show you some individuals that are building some tools on top of what has been created, some tools that are trying to break themselves into the mainstream, and they've gotten some serious funding from that. So just a brief overview, this article right here, top 10 digital twins. So you can see this is surfacing again, top 10 digital twin companies impacting Industry 4.0 innovations in 2021, and you're going to see some names of some seriously big revenue companies here. So here, of course, they're telling you again, digital twins are virtual portrayals that act as real-time digital equivalent of physical devices, objects, or systems. So through this technology, data scientists, researchers, or engineers can run simulations on devices or create an asset before it's built physically. So it's very important to be able to create prototypes before you can physically manufacture them. Just like in the car industry, these wind tunnel tests that you can do before actually putting the car there, or you can simulate a car in different crash scenarios so that you don't have to waste so many cars performing this, so you save a lot of money. Now what's interesting is that this digital market is predicted to go up, is expected to reach $106.2 billion by 2028 at a robust revenue CAGR of 54.7%. This is compounded average gross revenue of 54.7%. So guys, we're looking at an industry. Not only is the AI machine learning industry it's the thing, guys. It's always been the thing, but it's thrusted itself that much more as we see more and more tools that can actually be leveraged on a practical scale. We're seeing it materializing. The competition has gone in. A lot of funding from different countries are funding heavily machine learning related activity. Now we're going to see more independent companies also funding their boards, because they want to be able their separate research projects, because they want to be able to be at the forefront of this. At least they need to be able to understand what is going on. So obviously this article goes into the origin of digital twins way back in 1991, and in 2002 Dr. Michael Greaves, then on a faculty of the University of Michigan, publicly introduced the digital twin concept at a Society of Manufacturing Engineers. So you can see the very roots of these digital twins are embedded within the very foundation of engineering, and it doesn't just stop at the hard engineering, but goes its way, or it infiltrates into software engineering, into all kinds of engineering practice that are related, the engineering simulations, and all kinds of things. Essentially, the sky is the limit and your imagination is the limit within which these digital twins can do. They're supposed to negotiate, transfer data, store your data, maintain your privacy, transactions on your behalf. So many amazing things out there. Now, some of the benefits that I mentioned here of understanding this digital twin technology is that when you know how to use them as a company, you can reduce risks of accidents and deliver new business opportunities to you. You can help your business predict the uncertainties in advance or give early warnings. It incorporates big data, AI, machine learning, and an Internet of Things to fasten production process, cost effective, and helps to plan better products for the future through simulations, and businesses can have a complete digital footprint. footprint of their assets, devices, or products. And the future of digital twins is predicted as such. But first, guys, you can see some of the companies, big revenue companies like Microsoft Corporation, Bosch, General Electric, IBM, Siemens, Oracle, Cisco. All these companies are into this digital twin infrastructure because it's embedded within the very foundation of this industry 4.0, which is Internet of Things, machine learning, AI. Now, guys, we have some individuals that have formed their own companies, like Joshua Broder here. He started a company about a couple of years ago, which is called Do Not Pay. And in this sort of clip, in this clip here on Twitter, I'll put the link in the description, they show how they've actually been able to build a technology with the GPT chat, such that their agent is able to, on behalf of another client, is able to negotiate with a company, with a Comcast company, basically selling data, to be able to save this person $120 by their agent negotiating with the other company's agents, and therefore reaching a certain consensus of reducing how much this person has to pay without this person having to take off time to actually do this themselves. So being able to save people time, companies time, and all kinds of things, activities that are going to be, the sky is the limit with what's going to be done with digital twins. We're going to see a major shift in the way we operate, in the way companies make money. The job industry is going to be flipped on its head because this is used by robotics, and all kinds of things are going to be fitted within anything that can harbor a CPU, that can communicate with Wi-Fi, your car, your lights, anything that can communicate back to request for assistance is going to be embedded with these things called digital twins. So it's pretty amazing. So this is their website, and they say, do not pay the world's first robot lawyer. So you can, I guess their premise is that you shouldn't have to pay for services like this. I think the way the guy started, he had to pay parking tickets, and he was a student, too much money, and therefore try to figure out a way to actually eliminate this encumbrance that people face. When you go onto the cryptocurrency side, guys, you can see the companies that I've talked about, like Mobix, which is doing a move to earn. They've implemented NFTs. They want to implement things like self-sovereign identities, where you protect your identity as a user, but then you're able to use this marketplace to use this micro mobility infrastructure, but then get rewarded as you're doing that. So as they're doing that, they're incentivizing people to use as less carbon emitting machines as possible. So they do this with the reward of a token. And what's important here, they use these autonomous economic agents, which are essentially the same thing with digital twins. So with this, they want to use that to be able to analyze what's going on, keep the user's data with the user being 100% in control of that data, have these devices or machines that can interpret it, and be able to reward that user, and also have these agents communicate, look for parking spaces, and all other kinds of things that might interest that particular user, while they're also looking at how to protect the user's data. Then another company that I've talked about a lot is Fetch.ai. It has become popular, been thrust into the popular scene with the release of ChatGPT, because I guess the cryptocurrency space is trying to speculate on some of these cryptos that have something to do with AI. But these guys are I think they're the first cryptocurrency or blockchain related company that has leveraged these things called multi-agent systems to create digital agents, which are now, digital twins, which they formerly called autonomous economic agents, which essentially do that, negotiate on behalf of their users, know how to leverage a user's data on their behalf, and be able to perform different activities on behalf of the user, so that the user is saved time, is saved effort. Like they book an air ticket for you, they can negotiate with they can contact your doctor in case of an emergency, all kinds of things, contact your repairman in case your toaster has a problem, be able to relay this information, or your car, that hey, this part of your car needs it needs repair. Should we do this? Then you say yes, we should actually repair it. They pay on your behalf to the company. The company then it negotiates with their agent. They send their actual physical mechanic to your car. So this is all done by the agents negotiating this, making the payment, and you as a user, you just have to accept with the messages that are sent to you, maybe on your device. So this is it seems kind of far off, but we're seeing a lot of companies looking into this technology and how they can leverage it to make their lives easy, to make more money, to figure out how to optimize their own value chain, to reduce their cost, from beginning, from manufacturer to the final consumer, to reduce that, to optimize the supply chain so that they reduce their costs as much as possible, and also know what is required, have the data, the customer response, what issues maybe a account might be having in particular environment, so they're able to get a fast feedback of what is going on directly from the machine, as opposed to relying on a human that might not really know what's going on. So when these guys have built out their infrastructure for the past 3 years, and that's why you see they have some of these technologies like the autonomous economic agent registry, the manager, their own wallet, an explorer, the AEA framework, which is like the world or the environment in which these AEAs are able to communicate with each other and understand themselves. But if you've looked into cryptocurrencies, these things, according to them, they can actually operate off a blockchain. So they don't need to be on chain, which would make them slow, but they can act as second layer infrastructure that scales a blockchain, or they can do their transactions off layer, and anything that requires on layer transactions, like maybe financial transactions or sending tokens or sending some very important information that needs to be on chain, they can also do that because they have that interoperability standard. And then the blockchain themselves is sort of a picture that shows you some of the infrastructure they're building out that would ideally support these agents, but also would allow other technologies to tap into this, or would allow them to vice versa plug into other technologies easier by having supporting languages like Python and things like that. So it's very interesting. If you've not heard of some of these companies or digital twins or agent-based systems, is something you might look into if you want to look at some of the technologies that are going to be at the forefront of the new industrial revolution and figure out a way to monetize and probably make money off it. That's how it is. You have to look out for some of these things that no one is looking at if you want to get that added advantage, above everyone else. So guys, I hope you learned something. I urge you to go do more research in these topics, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.